Good evening, you beautiful cucumbers. Welcome to TCB Studios and welcome to Burn It Down. Shout out to our sponsors, Sandy D and A&F Agriculture. Shout out to Kelly's Death Pickles. Shout out to Rick Ammerman, my guest last week. What a wonderful show we had, and we had so many wonderful comments. We appreciate everyone getting involved with the show. Again, welcome to the Burn It Down Positive Party. Thank you to Jesse Seifel, Gregory O'Gannon, Julio Morales, everyone getting involved and networking and spreading the word about this show. It is growing and growing and growing. And like me and my partner, Renee Jaworski, like to say, love expands. Shout out to D Nice and Meowski, DJ Meowski, taking care of things at TCB Studios in Atlanta. We have so much to cover this evening, so I must jump right into it. This man, our guest, is an artist, a musician, a songwriter, a record label owner. He manages bands. What I want to know is, how does he manage his time to get these things done? Most importantly, he's a good friend of mine. So without further ado, let's get into it. Bucket of fish, Jay Crash, bring him on down.
What's
Hello
up?
there. How you doing?
Doing good, doing well.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So one of the things I like to do when I bring on my guests is, especially when they're good friends of mine, is I love being able to talk about our history, because I've been so lucky in the music world that I've made so many wonderful friendships, and then I love being able to say, oh yeah, I met you then, I met you here, I remember this. And I was trying to write down notes this afternoon, and I remember knowing you, but I don't remember actually when we met.
That's funny. I'm like, as soon as you just said that, I'm trying to think now too. Man, that is a good question because I know it might have been in East Atlanta at
Hmm.
a brewery next to Flatiron.
Yes,
That's yeah, that
right.
used to throw
But
shows.
yeah, I love it. We're being very thoughtful and doing the right thing when it comes to politics here.
Yeah,
Yes, it was one of those shows, but I think we knew of each other because we certainly shared a bunch of friends in common
yeah,
through playing music, and there is a wonderful camaraderie and community in Atlanta, in the heavy metal scene and the punk scene, and we shared a bunch of wonderful dear friends together. So I'm going to guess. My guesstimate is I think we just knew of each other, and we were around each other a lot that we just hugged each other and said hi. But there might not have been a specific time that we were like, Tom Cheshire, Jay.
right. Yeah, I think I don't believe there was a specific moment. Maybe if anything, it might have been like Casey or something. I don't
Well,
know.
I give Casey a lot of credit because he is probably, well, he isn't probably, he is my oldest friend in Atlanta. So half of the wonderful friendships and business relationships and band situations that I've been in, I do give Casey so much credit. I was in his backyard in the early 90s learning Ramones songs and Misfit songs and Bad Religion songs. And he introduced me to so many beautiful people. And then I meet guys like you and Kelly Hester, one of our sponsors. We love Kelly and Michelle, Death Pickles. And
Yeah.
that's the best thing about this whole thing. And I mentioned Rick Ammerman last week. What a show we had. We have so many wonderful comments. Jesse Seipel, my friend Amanda Blackman. And the thing is Renee and I, shout out to the lady behind the scenes, Renee Jaworski, who will join us in a few minutes. We're really trying to do something special with this show. And it's, yes, we'll talk about this depression and these very real things in life, but it's a positive party and try to have very good conversations and build each other up.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that's what music and art is all about, anyway. So yeah,
It really is. It really is. And so what you do is so impressive. So um, I missed your band because I was traveling. But I want to share all of that information. But also, what happened is you reached out to me not too long ago and shared me a new project.
Yes.
And basically, I loved it. It had everything that I love in it. It was there was very serious and had dark undertones, which I'm a big fan of. I guess they were kind of murder ballads, you know, and I'm a big fan of that stuff, you know. And please continue writing that. And you need to let me know. Okay, so this is the thing. We have so much to cover tonight because you really are, for as young as you are, you're this badass worldly man who I'm impressed with what you're getting done these days. So let's start first with Terminus Hate City, because that as well, I was trying to explain this to a few people, is an umbrella. Yes, it's a record label, but you also are managing bands. You're a team managing people and throwing flea markets and helping people.
Correct. Yeah, and it's definitely become, I mean, it started out as a record label idea, and kind of like, okay, I'm gonna kind of just partying and like figuring out, what what am I gonna do with like the back in the day with like my music career as far as
Right,
like um making it grow and like doing something that's not just being in a band and stuff like that, which obviously is the main thing that I want to do, but knowing that it needs to be, bigger than that and more than that. Especially, I mean, what I've seen from, some of the most successful musicians is, having your hands and a lot of different things. But that, yeah. So that sort of started adding on a lot of different responsibilities or
right,
like avenues of the label, like the show promotion and stuff like that, or putting on shows. So and now we're kind of looking at doing some like production side of things with my business partner,
right,
Buck, and and he was the first artist on the label, so it's kind of like we're very 100% musician owned and operated and
right.
that like artist, aspect, just through and through. So it's very much so, artist driven. And I mean, sometimes that kind of shows a little bit on our like, some things like get procrastinated and, other like, but
Right.
a lot of it is just because we have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah,
So
I love it. Yeah, I'm one of the pictures that you posted was of you and I at a Palaces show. Shout out to Palaces.
yeah,
And Stephen Lee's on stage, a dear friend of the show. But it was a show that you guys put on with well, one of the bands are old friends of mine, Valiant Thor. And
yeah,
I've known them for years and played with them, and they're wonderful. And that was just another Terminus Hate City production that night, and it was sold out at the Drum and Unicorn. Every show that you do, by the way, I know because I'm at most of them or I check in, they're all sold out. You pack it out. And the clubs, when you work with them, must be so impressed because you really are like this five-trick pony doing the whole machine. Like it's so impressive. You're doing the marketing, you're doing the networking, you're gonna pack out the club, you're in the back selling merch. I mean, they really have to say, wait a minute, let's cut out these other middlemen. These guys are doing everything.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely the goal to be
Yeah,
there, especially for the, I mean, we've been working with Star Bar a lot recently, and they've been amazing.
yeah,
So is the Earl. I mean, well, we just had, I guess, our first show at the Earl. It wasn't technically our show, but we teamed up with Challenger Deep to help
yeah.
promote it. That was a really, really fun time. And we have a few other shows at the Earl coming up. So just those two, like are really awesome. I mean, there's a lot of other venues in Atlanta, but just working with those two especially has been um really great. And also, like going with the hand in hand, like, I mean, um, the owners of Star Bar are kind of, they've all been in the community for a long time. Dusty's a
They're
musician
wonderful.
himself,
Yeah.
so it's like it's kind of all sticking in the family, the Atlanta family or whatever, and I mean, even though, I'm younger and like kind of, just trying to put things out there, it's still like it's still um yeah, I mean, we want to like work hand in hand with these venues like
Right.
that are doing the good deed for musicians. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like if we can't put money in bands' pockets, and I mean, and our pockets too, because it's like
Yeah.
I'm running a business, so um,
Well,
but at the end of the day, if we can't do that, there's not much point in doing what we do and throwing shows.
yeah.
So
Well, it got me thinking about Terminus Hate City, and you're talking about every successful band or label that you hear from. There's always this one consistent thing for me that I've always noticed. It's like I come from mainly more of a punk background, but to me, if it's honest, it's all punk, And I mean, I love a lot of metal, but so when you think about, you're first doing this because you're trying to get your stuff out there, and then
yeah,
you're going to try to help get your friends, your best friends, your mates, your brothers and sisters, the community out there. So when I think of like bands like Minor Threat, and then later on, Ian formed Fugazi, and he formed Discord Records. He was like, well, yeah, well, no one put out a record, so we started our own label. And the
yeah,
same with the same with the gentleman in Bad Religion when they started Epitaph Records, and the same with Greg Ginn from Black Flag when he started SST Records. And you know these are really great templates for us to watch and see and go, wait a minute. So why don't I put out my own music?
yeah.
I'm going to do the work, and then when we start doing well, I'm going to start helping my friends put out their stuff,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, I'm going to let the community know that we work hard and we get shit done. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And so the Earl and the Star Bar, and then let's say the Masquerade downtown. They're
yeah,
going to be like, wait a minute, why would I not want to work with these guys? They get it done. As a matter of fact, I just give it to them and they make sure it happens. And it's pretty awesome. And I also love, and we're going to probably get into a little bit of this with Renee. It's like, I love when we as musicians and some guys with long hair or whatever, we defy these stereotypes that certain business people don't want to work with you. And they're like, no, I mean, my business is called TCB, Tom Cheshire Business, also taking care of business. And it's like
yeah,
we defy what you think are these stereotypes. No, actually, I'm a you're a pleasure to work with, and you get things done. And they actually have to have zero worries when they put a show, and they trust you to do a show, and
for
that's
sure.
amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's very, managed, like self-managed. I mean, not self-managed, but like in terms of they definitely don't have to worry about really anything, like, even to the point, I mean, working with the Drunken Unicorn, we were putting,
Love them.
again, the sold out show that was, where the He Is Legend show and Palace's show. And um but yeah, I mean, we were bringing in, like our own sound people, door people, and stuff like that. And I mean, that's like just to help. I mean, not help, but like in terms of, like our infrastructure, it was one of those things where we had to put that together and kind of figure that out on our own and be like, okay, well, can we do
Right.
this? And then Ryan ended up, stepping up and learning sound. And then so it's like, here we have like a business partner who was just like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna I'm gonna learn how
Yeah,
to like run sound, and like that way, if we don't have a sound person that we can call, we always have a
that's amazing. Yeah, and the
person,
thing
on
is,
deck.
yeah,
Um, and then he ended up, kind of working with Drunken Unicorn on non-Terminus Hate City shows. So it
right.
kind of transcends past like, of like just THC or whatever, and just like actually, being a part of the community and stuff, and not
I
just like,
love it. Yeah, I mean, and the greatest things happen from, learning things like trial and error. Like everything that I've done, with whether it's the first few records I recorded or, starting a new business or whatever. Most of it, it was just like, okay, well, we're going to make some mistakes and we're going to learn, and then we're going to jump in the deep end and we're going to swim. We're going to make this shit happen.
yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I should say this, but I will. But when I first started the label, I literally didn't even know what a catalog number was. Like
Sure. Yeah.
I look it up. I was like, heard it in like, it was like an email conversation, and I like Google. I was like, what the fuck is a catalog number? Like, and I was
Right.
like, oh, I should have been doing this from the beginning. Like,
Right. It should start here. Yeah. Well, that's awesome now. I mean, because so then that just makes it more interesting.
yeah,
Be like, actually, this is the first 4 we did, but this one everyone thinks is the first one we did, or something like
oh
that.
yeah, that it was kind of like a restart, like having to, and what I did was I don't think our first technical like catalog number that I put down was until our first vinyl release. So I mean that was,
Okay.
I guess uh uh momentous, you know what I mean, like a special time to put the catalog number there,
Right.
and THC1 or whatever,
Yeah.
Swamps Resolve to Repel. Those guys are really awesome from
You
Jacksonville.
got so many good bands now that you're working with, man.
Yeah.
I keep on seeing these releases, and it's really, really impressive. That's what I was blown away as I was asking you backstage in our virtual green room, like, what time do you have to get up tomorrow? Because I was wondering if you dedicate like 2 hours to the label, then an hour to your band, like how you do the day, or is each day different?
Yeah. Okay. So each day is different for sure, but I
Because
try to.
you have bands that technically you're their client and vice versa. They're your client, and you have to dedicate time a week to send stuff out to get them reviews and try to make them a bigger band.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is, so that's kind of basically dedicating a specific amount of time each day. That's the way that I work best, is like kind of trying to dedicate a little bit of time each day towards each band versus knocking it all out at once. And I mean that's kind of because I'm ADD, but like
Oh yeah, me
so
too, man. Me too. Good to see you.
easier to kind of like work. It's like 20 minutes, here, like, and then and kind of keep it moving. But that's also not to say trying to just like bang shit out in a rushed manner, because that's very quality over quantity, and I mean that's something that's definitely been a little bit, I'd say, like probably a challenge that I've faced a little bit of this year, just like with a lot of personal shit and like delegating like the time of the growing business, to like to be able to just do exactly and everything, that I need to do for all of the artists.
Right.
And, that's definitely been a little bit of like some growing pains, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we all can, there's only so many hours in a day. So,
that's right. And you can't beat yourself up over that. So now August 12th, you got a really cool thing happening. You got this flea market that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I am really stoked on that. Actually, shit, I should have grabbed a flyer. I think, but
we'll post it after the show for you.
Yeah. I was like, but it's Little 5 Points. It's actually it's a punk and metal flea market, and they've had those before, but a lot of them. This is the first one that's been done by Atlanta promoters, 40 Ounce Booking, Bill Johnston and myself with Terminus Hate City. And so it's run by, Atlanta companies. And that's been a big thing. We've seen a lot of outside businesses that are really great, businesses like they do the oddities and other stuff like that, I think. But they've had like similar events. So it's not like the first punk and metal flea market in Atlanta by any means. But
it looks like it's going to be one of the biggest. So that's amazing.
Right. Yeah. We wanted to push it towards Atlanta businesses and, support local, as well as supporting the Little 5 Points community, because, they're kind of, they're holding out in a really important time. I feel like
they're fighting and doing the right thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Being yourself or whatever, whatever that means. And that's kind of just something that's really important, especially like with the changes going on in Atlanta. And I was saying the other day, it's like Atlanta's kind of changing from this artistic and activist city that we've been known for into like this super like kind of corporatized model version of that, which is shitty. We want to keep it genuine, and like that's, I think, like, I mean, that's all that Terminus Hate City is about, and that's all that I see most of Little 5 Points being about.
Yeah. That's what we're about, man. We fight for the underdog. You know what I mean?
exactly, man. Yeah, the underdogs, the underground, that's it's important. And I mean, again, just you have genuine connections there. You have people that, relationships aren't based entirely on the dollar signs and stuff. And I mean, those are important for sure, because we all have to make a living. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's more about the community that we build and like the longevity of that kind of.
Yeah, yes. Man, I love all of it, and I love everything that you're doing. And I know the Atlanta metal scene uh, certainly appreciates it because I love doing quotes that my dad used to tell me when I was a kid. And one of them is never do anything half assed because it takes twice as long to fix it. And everything that you do with THC, when you're putting on a show, when you're putting out a band, when you're putting out a piece of vinyl, I mean, the artwork is phenomenal. Like everything is done so well, So everyone really appreciates it, man. You're killing it.
Thank you, man. I mean, that really means a lot, like hearing that, from you, because I look up to you, and I've looked up to you for.
Man.
But
the best thing about the show is we really never want it to seem like an interview. We want it to seem like a conversation between two friends, and then in a minute, three friends. Basically, people who are fond of each other, who look up to each other, and have nothing but love and respect for each other, and they're just talking. So you made this comment about the show coming up, and made me blush about us keeping in touch recently. And one, thank you for those nice words. I mean, they're still ringing, just absolutely beautiful. But two, I'm so proud of you because I know that you're on this new journey. And let's just say in the heavy metal community and the punk rock community, and I'm not dissing anyone because, like as long as people are all right, I always used to say, I don't care what you do, just don't lose your life, don't lose your wife, don't lose your house, don't lose your job, whatever. I really don't care what you do. But, if it gets the best of you and then you're not the best version of you because of, let's say, partying or whatever, then that's when it's probably time to reflect. And you're on this journey of sobriety. And we've actually talked in person. We hung out together on the 4th of July. Again, shout out to Kelly and Michelle.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. They're the best. They were the best. They were the best hosts.
Man,
wonderful time, lovely time. But we had some deep conversations. I want to say congratulations to you on this journey, and see if you want to, I don't know, talk a little about it, because some of our viewers, I think, are going through the same thing or about to, and they're considering trying to make some changes because good health is good wealth, in your life.
Right.
And it's not even like all of this. It's like the peace of mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have been alcohol free for about close to 7 months now. I don't know the exact date.
Congratulations, brother.
Past the 6-month milestone, like a little bit ago, and so the beginning of this month. So or sorry, beginning of July. I guess it's now almost August. So I get just
you're beyond 7. Yeah, you're into 7 months for sure.
Yeah, man. So it's definitely. I mean, going from, I've always lived the rock and roll, like, party lifestyle. And I mean, honestly, I think that I always will, like it's something that, I mean, like, that's not to say, doing drugs, like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just kind of like staying out and, like, it's definitely a social lifestyle, a social life. But, yeah, man. I mean, I started, kind of stopped drinking last year for a little bit, and then went through some things and relapsed. But that was the first time in my adult life that I had taken a break and really gotten that taste of, like, clarity or whatever. And I mean, I really enjoyed it. And so it took me another, about 8 months or so. At the beginning of this year, I kind of really took it, sat down and was just like, I need to take this shit seriously. Like, I need to change my, my outlook on, like, my lifestyle, basically. And like, from, I mean, and it's like, I was a pretty hardcore alcoholic. It's like waking up and drinking and, just like going like through COVID and stuff like that without anything to do. And, it's like kind of just woke up and just started, drinking beer and playing
Right.
video games. And then, kind of once that ended, it was like, okay, well, now I'm just like a functioning alcoholic. So I'm just going to wake up
Right.
and drink and then like go about my day or whatever. And
Right.
eventually, leading to like needing other things to like keep that going and keep like all of the work, the work and party,
Sure.
going and stuff like that. And I mean, it's just like kind of it was adding into like the depression, just like not being motivated, not getting the things done that I needed, like for the label and for the other artists on the label, and for myself too, and for my band. And just a lack of kind of just having an immense writer's block, but not even like a writer's block, just like a lack of motivation to, or passion, feeling of passion. And so
Right.
it was just like wanting to change that. And I mean, also, going through other like personal things that I'm not going to talk about, but like
Yeah, sure.
just going through other shit that really really was eye-opening as far as like me needing to make a change for myself and become like what you were saying earlier, like the best version of myself.
Yes.
um
Yes.
because like I mean, I guess that kind of I had to figure that out from me, and I mean, I think that's I don't judge anyone for doing like, yeah, I don't give a shit at all, and that's just something I think I can be around a lot of that, just like really, anything, and it's just not, it doesn't really trigger me as much just because I've made that decision, for myself
Right.
to like continue on this path. And I know that it's like a journey that, I mean, there's definitely some days where I'm like, oh fuck, like I need a drink and it's harder than
Right.
others. But like at the end of the day, it's like, well, no, if I had this drink, I would be in a way, mentally, me personally would be in a way worse off
Right.
situation or position or state of mind or whatever it is, and state of minds can put us in other situations that are worse or negative, and
Right.
manifestation is a big thing, so and outlook and all of that stuff. So trying to just like refocus that part of my brain into maybe, and again, it's like it's not something that I sat down and was like, I'm never gonna drink again, it's
No,
just
I know.
to come to like a more healthy relationship, with that. And I mean, as like I enjoy the non-alcoholic beers or whatever, like because I still like the taste and of beer, but and that's just like not really anything, I guess, as long as it doesn't lead me into a gutter or whatever, or a side, crashing into a telephone pole or something, then I don't think that it's like to each their own. But I mean, that's definitely been a journey that has helped with pretty much every, just about every aspect of my life, but also dealing with, a lot of the recent just shit is, just in general,
Personal stuff.
it's
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
kind of grasp things and process them a lot, faster, and kind of come to a solution, I guess, so.
Well, I applaud you for it so much. And I have to say, because I've been at some late night parties, going to early mornings with you after shows. Atlanta's famous for after the show, people
Oh
go to
yeah.
a party. I've never seen you act in any way where I'm like, man, that guy needs some help. He's a mess. But actually, it has nothing to do with me. This is your journey. So you saw something. It's about that clarity you're talking about. Because it's like, I've had some friends that I've tried to help over the years. And it's like, brother, I can't love you until you love you.
Yeah.
And what you're doing right now is you're loving you, and that's a good thing. And we're going to bring Renee on in a minute, and she's so good at describing these things. And it's like once in a while, being selfish and taking care of you is such a good thing because it means you're going to be the best version of Jay. I'm going to be the best version of Tom Cheshire I am right now. And it's like then later on we could take it from there, and I could
Yeah.
see what I want to do. And the reality is if you have all these things going on and you decide to get messed up, well, one, from there, we all make worse decisions. We make bad decisions, we make worse decisions. But the other thing is this, if things are already cloudy and you're clouding up your vision or your decision-making process even more,
Yeah.
well, then, boy, there's a good chance you're doomed. And I think that's a really good segue. bucket of fish, bucket of fish, bucket of fish. The lady behind the scenes, wop, wop, beep, beep, beep. Renee Yaworski.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is fascinating. I'm just like, and there's so many like comments coming in too. So Jay, make sure after the show you check out all the comments.
Yeah.
So many people
So
are tuning in.
Renee is this I told you, a badass. She's basically an octopus. What she does with we always joke around. She must have 8 arms. But I knew this was going to be fascinating. Jay and I have known of each other for a long time, but only probably got close the past couple of years. But we're genuinely good friends who want the best for each other. And like, which to be honest with you, it's not that difficult. That's what everyone in friendship should be in life. Everyone should be rooting for each other. Unfortunately, it's not always the case. But Jay just said some really fascinating things because he
Very
was like,
much.
he goes, wait a minute. I knew with certain things going on, he doesn't have to get into it. Personal stuff. He's like, how the hell am I going to make a good decision if me, myself, I'm not sound? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. In this country right
That's
now,
right.
we even have a lot of caretakers. A lot of people are taking care of their elderly parents. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people taking care of someone else, and they always say, look, it's not selfish to be selfish. You have to make sure that you're operational, or else you cannot help anyone else. And now someone else is going to have to
Right.
come and take care of you. So it's the best decision to make. And like Jay, it was so inspiring for me to hear. Congratulations, 7 months. That is a really, really big milestone. Like, that's awesome. And it's really hard to do. I don't think that people understand how hard that is to do when you are, because it's even just the routine of it. And it's
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
just like the fact that like that's your day. So you have to reroute you have to like
Right.
nature abhors a vacuum. So it's like all the time that you're spending doing, like in your case is drinking. It's like how you got to put something in there and hopefully it's going to be something
That's a
positive.
really good point. You have to, it's like if you pull something away from you, you must replace it with that.
Right.
Otherwise you will go. I had some very dear friends in New York who owned some very cool bars and I used to hang out in them. And, but then this is about 6, 7 years ago. And I wasn't drinking at all for about 9 months. I didn't drink. I didn't touch one drink. But I felt guilty because I'm this known as almost a drunk poet, and I'm like, wait a minute, am I just a puppet portraying this act now? And people are like, how come you're not having a drink? So I would like my friend, she would make me like a Sprite or a ginger ale with bitters in it, so it looked like I was drinking. But now I'm loving that I'm seeing people comment a lot on Facebook and social media these days when they go, if you see your friend not having a drink, don't say, how come you're not drinking? Say, good for you, congratulations. Can I get you a tea? Can I get you something? Don't
Right.
ask them why they're doing that. Say, great for you, man. Much love, sister and brother, whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, I will say like that's been the, my friend group is, shout out to like all my friends, for because they've been very, so I mean there's like a couple times where like they'll be like, "Oh, you want something?" I'm like, "Oh shit, my bad," and it's just like immediate,
Right. Well,
there's
no,
never
that's good and
any
that's honest. That's
question,
honest. Yeah, that's
you know,
honest.
and we'll get into it, we definitely start, we talk and it's like, because a lot of the times, it's like they want the same or like at least want to like cut back, and I mean
Sure.
like it's really funny because like most of my friends that most of us that look like we party the hardest are generally like the most like reserved and controlled, like
Yeah, like
we're
close
out
to
at
straight
flat
edge or
for like
something.
my
Yes.
buddies and like Rotten Stitch's birthday the other night, and they've toured the country with the casualties, you know what I mean, and it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
they do the thing, but then we're like sitting there at like 11:30 p.m. like looking at our watches in the clock. We're like, it's like Friday night, and we're like, is anybody else ready to go? Like we're like ready to head out of here. Like, it's
Yeah.
getting late. Like
And
we're like normally be up like 3, 4 a.m.
well, and also doing that every night. I mean, like make it worth it. Like I look at it as like going on a wonderful vacation, you know.
Yeah.
Like yes, having a blast like that is fun, but I don't
Mhm.
want it to be like 7 nights a week. How about once every
Yeah.
few months you have a good time like that, Or
Right.
but and each person is different. If you know that you can't, you don't do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the thing is no one size fits all. So I mean, there's food addicts, right? There's people who
Yeah,
can't tolerate sugar or whatever, or caffeine. Like I know somebody who, if he takes caffeine, he gets loopy and drunk and he can pass out. Like he has actual issues.
right.
So that's why we shouldn't be pushing our choices on other people, no matter what, because even
Ever.
our bodies change too. Like what we got away with when we were 18, we might not be able to get away with when we're in our 30s, but it's what works for you. So I never understood that, like this proselytizing. It's almost like, hey, you have
Yeah.
to do this. You have to do this. But I think if you set really strong boundaries and if you just say, hey, like, I don't want to do that today, like people tend to now respect that a little bit more.
Right.
I feel.
Yeah, and we talk about this often on this show. And by the way, thank you again for being our guest, Jay. And I love the natural progression, the positive place that the show is going. But we talk about this on the show often, and it's like, people say know your strengths. Yeah, that's cool, but not know your weaknesses. And I know that. First of all, triggers are very real. Renee talked about even like people going to eat food, like whatever it is that when you lose your mind, you're depressed. Before I came out here, the 2-3 weeks before I came out here, I'm in Puerto Rico, buddy. What's going on? Good to see you guys. But before I came out here, I had so much going on personally and things I was worried about and stresses, and also things that straight up got on my nerves. I wasn't in the mood for. And let me tell you, I just I abused myself. I was, instead of having one beer, I had several or whatever. And I was like, man, what am I doing? Came out here, I was like, that's it. I'm not drinking for a couple of weeks. I want to walk on the beach every morning, get back in shape, And also what I mean shape is I mean the heart and the crotch. We love talking about the crotch on the show too. And mentally, making yourself good in the brain. And so you can make some wise decisions for you and your loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so important, like, especially when it is like something like running a label, or I mean, there's a bunch of other, careers and jobs that I can think of that take care of other people's needs a lot, a lot of times. And like, it kind of comes down to like when you're putting others' needs in front of your own or something like that, you kind of have to take a step back and I mean, really, you can't let that happen to, at the end of the day. It's like, it might seem like that, but, running a label and everything like that, it's like
a job.
Putting a lot of the artists, like their needs from a business standpoint come first. But the most important thing, that I have to remember is that I am a musician and I do art and, I put art out there and put out music. So like, if it gets to a point where I can't take care of my own, musical needs, release needs, then that's then the other work is affected. And I've noticed that, and it's like it's synonymous, not necessarily, it's kind of subconscious too. It's not like I not like throw a fit and like I can't get my I can't write a song, so I'm just gonna fuck everyone else over on the label, something like that. But it does affect my own mental headspace, and the minute that I was able to start stepping back out on stage with my band and getting into the studio and recording the motivation to help out others, because it's that I don't treat anyone on the label like, everyone's career I try to treat as my own, and that helps when I come to think of like, decision making, decisions that I make and executive decisions sometimes that, it's like, okay, well, I hope that they trust that, I wouldn't make a decision that
I love that.
I make for myself.
That's really important, because I always think, like, I was always taught that addiction thrives in isolation. And so being connected and realizing that we're important, other people are depending on us, that's something that actually staves off a lot of addiction. And if you look at cultures, like America is such an independent, it's like a dog eat dog, like every man for himself. You look at Africa, they don't have the same prevalence of addiction and mental illness because they're so interconnected. There's a lot of those bonds. So one of the things that you guys are doing, like, you guys are going to probably not recognize this because you're humble people, but both of you are like cool guys, right? So there's young people who are going to watch this, particularly boys who are going to watch this. You're going to be cool. But you guys but here's the thing, you guys exude this sort of like tough, like the cowboy, the rock and roll cowboy thing. And that for you guys to come out and be like, look, like I abused myself. Like I was fatalistic. Like I was down on myself. That means so much to somebody else who wants to be like you guys, and say, hey, I can be vulnerable and strong. I can be cool and admit my own faults. Sorry, I had a little air bubble, but I wasn't going to cry. No, the thing is, like, like you guys looking the way you do, being all rock and roll, like it really, when you turn the light switch on and you say, hey, like I was fatalistic, like I was abusing myself, whatever. It
Right.
shows people there's light on the other end of that tunnel, that they can come out of it. Nobody has to just sit there and suffer in silence. Reach out
Yeah.
to somebody, talk to
Please
somebody,
do.
and
Yeah.
it just elevates your mood immediately.
And
Yeah.
Jay, you said that in that post. You said, friends reach out to friends. It goes a
Yeah.
long way, And
Yeah.
here's the other thing I wanted to mention a minute ago was all three of us are creative types, musicians and artists. And what comes with that is a lot of self-doubt and a lot of our own insecurities. And what happens with that is when we do mess up, let's say you do fall off the wagon or whatever it is, you spend time beating the hell out of yourself up.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
right.
not good for you. Just you got to be like, okay, I messed up. Let's fix this. Because not only is you taking a long time to fix yourself, but then those things you need to be doing, like running your label, you're messing that up too.
Yeah.
And so we need to remember self-love and a little bit of that selfishness that Renee was talking about is it's vital. It's vital. Like, it's like I said, it's like I can't, I have a dear friend that I've been trying to help for about 15 years now, and it breaks my heart, and I'm just like, dude, I can't love you until you love you, and it's like, how many times can I say that, and when will you actually hear it, and man, this is I knew this was going to happen because this show, it just flows, and I love this positive party and all the stuff, and I know there's a million things that I want to still talk to Jay about, which just means we need to have him come back on the show. I did want to mention that today we lost a creative force that was very important to me growing up, and he was very punk rock. Paul Rubens, most of you know him as the former Pee Wee Herman. What a funny, interesting guy, and blew me away. And I could spend 20 minutes talking about him, but I also was insanely affected and certainly cried a bunch the past few days when I heard about Sinead O'Connor passing away, because I just think that more women, that woman, what she had been through, and still was so true, was such a great artist and such a great human. And so I went down this rabbit hole and was watching these old interviews, and I certainly loved her voice, and I bought her records when I was a teenager. And the art world, the music world, and just humanity lost a great example of a true artist and a true person with just just a ginormous amount of integrity, and everything that she was saying that she got blacklisted for wound up being true. And it's just heartbreaking. And I saw Sean Marshall, Cat Power, post something yesterday, and she said, quit treating women like shit while they're alive.
Yes, I saw that.
My arm hairs went up, and I was just like, damn it. Yeah. I mean, unbelievable.
Whitney Houston, Tina Turner. I mean, just go down the list.
Yeah.
Anna Nicole Smith, boom.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, this is another reason why it's great that Jay has his own label and he treats his artists and does things for them that he would do for himself, because they treat everyone like that in the entertainment business. I've been on big labels before, and you are nothing but like, what can you bring me in forms of money? We really don't care about you, what you're going through. And that's heartbreaking. And that's what makes me feel so good about this show. My sister, my partner, Renee Yaworski, Jay Crash, because we're here to fight for the underdogs and do beautiful things. Yes. And it's all about the heart and the crotch and fighting for the right things and defending the right things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Sinead really embodied that. And, Paul Rubens both of these people were rock and roll. They were punk rock people. And, Paul Rubens, suffered in silence with cancer for 6 years. He didn't want to bring anyone down,
Class act. I saw his notes that his manager left. And it was,
just brought people up all the time.
David Bowie did the same thing. Class act. It's like, man, I've got a lot of respect for you guys. I don't want to put you through this. I know enough people are going through this stuff. Again, I just need to give shout outs to at the home office, D Nice and DJ Meowski.
Yeah, shout out D.
Hi to Cassie watching. Gregory L. Gannon, Julio Morales. I hope our sister Jamie Bennett feels better. Congratulations to Rory on his art show.
Yeah.
You guys need to come to Ponce Fest. Terminus Hate City will have a table there. And I am going to be in Atlanta for about 37 hours. And Tom Chester Band is going to be playing its last show in Atlanta probably for like a year. Because after that, I'm going to be really busy on the road. But we do need to have Jay back because
yes, I mean I could have like 16 conversations with Jay. We had so much to talk about.
To use the band Sick of It All, shout out to Casey Yarborough, a term of theirs. We didn't even begin to scratch the surface. And with Jay, because there's so much to be said. And but again, we applaud you and congratulations. And I'll say this, and I've said this to you in private. Reach out anytime you need to, and I will continue sending you texts, and we're going to keep on keeping in touch. Everyone, please check out Terminus. Well, are you in the acronym now or no? How are you doing it?
Terminus Hate City is good, or
THC earlier. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of acronyms these days. So
me too.
BID is Burn It Down. But also, let's real quick see so much to talk about your bands, because you basically have a band that's a rock and metal band, but now you're working on another project as well. So please tell us a little about that.
So my band is Imperi, and Imperii. And that's just kind of like a black metal,
so good,
black and death. So we veer away from just like traditional black metal, but I mean, like Jersey, our drummer, and Ryan Buck are both big kind of prog metal players, and then our bassist Mike, who actually brought up the fact that we should cover. Interestingly, he said we should cover a Sinead O'Connor song recently the other day at practice, which is, I guess, an interesting concept. Like as a black metal band, that would be. I mean, I don't know, but
I think from the heavens she would approve. She was a big fan of the Outsiders. She was an outsider, and she related to Outsiders. Wonderful.
I mean, I think activism and art is something that is a lost connection nowadays, and I think it just needs to be strengthened and more enforced, and women not shit on when they speak out too. Those are the voices.
My goodness, I
love it.
The strongest there is. So sorry.
We have some people watching on Twitch right now, and they're asking for your band name again, Jay. They're trying to write it down.
Cool. Imperi, Imperii, and it's Imperi Official, all one word on Instagram.
Okay.
If you could send me anything you have, like a demo, whatever that we could share, because I know you guys are working on other stuff. But man, Rory's gonna be so proud that we went over. I'm not kidding. We barely scratched the surface. There's so much I want to talk to you about, Jay. You fascinate me, and you're so interesting because I think you got a really, really great head on your shoulders. But on top of that, it matches a really great heart. And I've enjoyed your friendship. And I like I've been saying a lot on this show, love expands. And I know our friendship will only grow and go to further places. Thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a good time. Hell yeah. So
Renee, what do you got to say?
I just want to tell everyone who's watching on Twitch to come follow Cosmos Creative TV on all of our socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook group. We're live on YouTube as well. So thank you. We've got a great turnout today. We just keep getting more and more viewers to Burn It Down. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will get to your comments. People who have been commenting, we usually go back and then we look at them and we comment back.
Next week, we got one of the greatest humans on the planet, CJ Positive Party Peters.
He's like the most positive person ever. It's great.
Yeah. The thing is there's enough toxicity and negativity and cancer out there. It's like, I've had people say, man, why are you always so happy? I go, I'm not always happy. Some nights I'm alone crying in a closet, punching walls. But I'm not going to do that to you guys because we all have stuff going on. Let's try to spread positivity and goodness. Jay, you rule. I really do. Love you so much.
I love you. I love you, man. It's nice to meet you, Renee.
Nice to meet you.
Man, listen, love is all around. Everyone be good, and we'll see you guys next week.